Welcome to Wrestling Sphere. In the world of professional wrestling, teammates aren't always close friends. Some groups have fought side by side but hid intense conflicts beneath the surface, so much so that they truly hated each other. In today's video, we'll dive into 10 stories about famous wrestling teammates who had deep-rooted grudges, little-known secrets behind legendary wrestling factions, where the drama wasn't just in the ring but also backstage. Let's step into the hidden world of pro wrestlers and discover which teammate pairs simply couldn't stand each other. Number 10. Javvented Guerrera and the Rift Within the Mexicals. The Mexicals were once seen as a fresh breeze revitalizing SmackDown's fading cruiserweight division in the summer of 2005. This trio of Mexican luchadors, Javvented Guerrera, Psychosis, and Super Crazy, brought vibrant, unique energy with their high-flying style and unmistakable personalities. However, behind the spotlight and spectacular flips, the group was actually a ticking time bomb centered around Javvented Guerrera. From the very beginning, Guerrera's ego was a major issue. While Psychosis and Super Crazy maintained a cooperative and hard-working attitude, Guerrera constantly acted arrogantly, believing he was the biggest star in the group. Despite only being a mid-carder with no long-term investment from WWE, Guerrera felt he deserved to be on the same level as superstars like The Rock. He was frequently late, skipped training, and often showed disrespect toward both his teammates and the coaching staff. What made matters worse was that the three already had some personal tensions beforehand, so the group's chemistry quickly fell apart. Psychosis and Super Crazy tried to stay professional, but Guerrera's attitude became increasingly unbearable. The breaking point came when they approached WWE management, openly asking to be split up out of fear they might get dragged down if Guerrera caused a major incident. Ultimately, Guerrera was released after just a few months. No one in the group seemed sorry to see him go, and the Mexicals quickly faded into obscurity, serving as a bitter reminder that talent alone isn't enough without humility and teamwork. Number 9. Kevin Von Erich and the controversial presence of Lance. The Von Erich family has always been revered as a sacred symbol of Texas wrestling, a dynasty filled with both shining glory and profound tragedy. Yet beneath the sorrow and fan adoration lay a little-known fracture: the arrival of Lance Von Erich. In the mid-1980s, when Mike Von Erich fell seriously ill and could no longer compete, Fritz Von Erich, the family patriarch and mastermind, decided to introduce a young bodybuilder named William Kevin Vaughn to portray Lance Von Erich, a fictional nephew of the dynasty. The goal was to maintain world-class championship wrestling's popularity during a crisis. However, not everyone in the family agreed with this choice, especially Kevin Von Erich. Kevin saw it as a betrayal of the genuine spirit the family had always stood for. To him, creating a fake family member was distasteful and deceived the audience. Tensions simmered, and when Lance suddenly left the promotion over financial disputes, the relationship grew even colder. 4 years afterward, Kevin openly criticized Lance, calling him an outsider lacking passion. Yet time can heal emotional wounds. After decades of silence, Kevin reached out with an email to Vaughn, thanking him for standing with the family during their difficult period. A late apology and gesture of respect, enough to close a painful chapter in the Von Erich family's history. Number 8. Rick Rude and the silent grudge against Shawn Michaels. While many fans recognize Shawn Michaels, Triple H, and Chyna as the original core members of D-Generation X, Rick Rude's name is often overlooked. Although he didn't regularly compete alongside the group in the ring, Rude played a crucial role as DX's human insurance. The sharp-dressed man standing outside the ring with a cold stare and a detached demeanor. However, the differences between Rude and the rest of the crew went far beyond attire or attitude. Behind the scenes, the relationship between Rick Rude and Shawn Michaels was tense to the point of being nearly unbearable. Rude was a man of principles, direct and unafraid to call out arrogance. Michaels, by the late 1990s, embodied everything Rude despised: cocky, arrogant, and disrespectful. Michaels himself later admitted he used to be a wild kid, who was hated by nearly everyone in the locker room. The tension reached its peak during the infamous Montreal Screwjob. Rude, a close friend of Bret Hart, felt deeply insulted by how Michaels handled the situation. Not long after, Rick Rude left WWE to join WCW. In a historic night, he became the only wrestler to appear on both Raw and Nitro within hours, a clear message aimed directly at Michaels. During that live broadcast, Rude didn't hesitate to openly criticize the Heartbreak Kid on air. Once allies in the same faction, their bond shattered under the weight of arrogance and unwavering personal loyalty to their own principles. Number 7. Santana and Ortiz, when Brotherhood fractured from within. Santana and Ortiz were once hailed as one of the most formidable tag teams in modern wrestling. Known as proud and powerful, they made their mark everywhere, from their glory days in TNA as part of the revamped LAX faction to explosive moments in AEW as key members of Chris Jericho's inner circle. But the spotlight couldn't hide the simmering cracks beneath the surface. While fans witnessed their seamless teamwork in the ring, backstage tensions quietly escalated. Santana began nurturing ambitions for a solo career, whereas Ortiz wanted to maintain the tag team legacy they had built over the years. These conflicting visions slowly drove a wedge between them, pulling their paths in opposite directions. The breaking point came after the 2022 Blood and Guts match. According to close friend Conan, tensions spiraled out of control when Santana nearly came to blows with Eddie Kingston, another mutual friend. Santana later openly admitted that deep personal rifts existed between him and Ortiz, ones that were difficult to mend. AEW didn't miss the chance to weave their real-life discord into the storyline. Proud and Powerful officially dissolved, leading to a brutal showdown between the two. Their no disqualification match ended with Ortiz victorious, and marked Santana's silent farewell to AEW. Though they maintained professionalism when necessary, it became clear that their friendship and shared career quietly drew to a close, at least for the foreseeable future. Number 6. The Good Father and Steven Richards. When forced changes led to silent resentment. In the early 2000s, WWE faced increasing pressure from sponsors and censorship groups. To respond, they created a strange yet satirical villainous faction, Right to Censor. Among the reluctant members forced to reinvent themselves, none was more frustrated than Charles Wright, famously known as the Godfather. Wright was compelled to abandon his flashy, party-loving persona and adopt a new role as the Good Father, a stern moral crusader dressed in white shirts, opposing all forms of indulgence. The problem? He was completely unhappy with this transformation. Deep down, Wright felt robbed of his personal identity and creative freedom, to the point where he seriously considered leaving WWE. Unable to vent his anger at the creative team or management, Wright directed his frustration at the closest target, Steven Richards, the on-screen leader of the faction. Although Richards had no say in Wright's character overhaul, he became the main focus of the Good Father's hostility. Richards was often made to feel sidelined, ignored, and even redundant within the very group he was supposed to lead. The backstage tension worsened as Wright's close friends, including members of the BSK stable, openly disliked Richards as well. Eventually, the two managed to clear the air to some extent. Steven Richards later revealed he came to understand why Wright reacted so strongly, but also candidly admitted that what he went through was incredibly unpleasant and unfair. Number 5. Stevie Richards and Raven. When loyalty became silent pain. Before getting caught up in WWE's harsh spotlight, Stevie Richards endured a painful journey through the worlds of ECW and WCW, where he was a devoted member of Raven's Nest and later Raven's Flock. But behind the rebellious glory and storylines lay a toxic relationship between Richards and the cold, commanding leader, Raven. From the moment he joined the faction, Richards showed absolute reverence for Raven, whom he regarded as a role model to follow. While many wrestlers sought the spotlight, Stevie willingly took on the role of a loyal henchman. He drove the group's van, carried their gear, and silently endured insults just to learn the craft from a seasoned veteran. Yet, instead of guidance, he was met with disdain and cold indifference. Raven, real name Scott Levy, was struggling with addiction and unstable moods at the time, causing him to vent his frustrations blindly on the closest target, Stevie Richards. Whenever something went wrong, Raven always blamed Richards, both behind the scenes and in front of the audience. This constant mistreatment gradually eroded Stevie's confidence, making him feel repeatedly run over by a bus, by the very man he once idolized. It wasn't until they reunited years later in TNA that the tension between them eased. By then, both Richards and Raven had matured and finally learned to respect each other as men who had survived the darkest chapters of professional wrestling. Number 4. Luke Harper and Eric Rowan, from snoring wars to lifelong brotherhood. On WWE television, Luke Harper and Eric Rowan were a fearsome duo within the Wyatt family, two towering bearded giants full of mystery and raw power. But behind the flashing lights of the arena, their relationship was surprisingly tense. Not because of any dramatic clash, but because of snoring. John Huber, known as Luke Harper, openly admitted how miserable it was sharing hotel rooms with Rowan on tour. According to him, Rowan possessed a supernatural ability to snore as loudly as a concrete saw, causing Harper many sleepless nights. Yet the frustration went beyond just noise. The two had very different personalities. Harper preferred order, discipline, and quiet, while Rowan was more chaotic, unpredictable, and prone to going off topic during conversations. They often argued over seemingly trivial matters: training methods, handling situations in the ring, and even personal habits. Although these tensions never escalated into physical fights, the underlying strain made both of them frequently consider going their separate ways. Thankfully, the calm leadership of Bray Wyatt, who held the Wyatt family together, helped Harper and Rowan gradually develop understanding and respect for each other. After the group disbanded, they reunited as the Bludgeon Brothers and achieved great success. The most remarkable part is that after years of ups and downs, they transformed from reluctant roommates into genuine best friends, a bond even stronger than their wrestling partnership. Number 3, Paul Roma, the outsider rejected by the entire group. In the legendary history of the Four Horsemen, an iconic symbol in professional wrestling, Paul Roma's name stands out as a controversial exception. When he was chosen to join the group in 1993, backlash came not only from fans but also from within the faction itself. Ric Flair and Arn Anderson, two of the Horsemen's original founders, openly expressed their disappointment. They believed Roma lacked the finesse, ring presence, and star quality essential to being a true horseman. Flair once bitterly called Roma a stain on the group's legacy, while Anderson mocked him as just an overpolished gym rat. But Roma wasn't one to stay silent. He fired back fiercely, not hesitating to make it personal. To Flair, he claimed the Nature Boy was simply jealous of his youthful looks and muscular physique. Roma even revealed that Flair was often annoyed whenever he attracted more attention than him at nightclubs back then. He also didn't hold back mocking Anderson's build, dubbing him the walking flour sack, and repeatedly challenged both men in public interviews, even proposing a real no-script, no-rules fight. Although Roma eventually left the group on cold terms, he firmly believed he was treated unfairly, and that his biggest crime was simply not fitting in with the rest. Number 2, Bobby Heenan and the Lost Flock Red Rooster. Bobby the Brain Heenan, one of wrestling's sharpest and funniest minds, always knew how to make others shine, even when they weren't true stars on their own. From Mr. Perfect to Rick Rude, everyone under his management soared to new heights. But there was one strange exception: Red Rooster. Terry Taylor, who portrayed Red Rooster, was given the gimmick of a rooster, complete with a hair styled like a cockerel's comb and a clumsy, awkward performance style. In the storyline, Heenan was tasked with turning Rooster into a star, but in reality he saw it more as a punishment than an opportunity. He believed Taylor was too stiff, lacked flexibility, and didn't fit the comedic tone the character demanded. Heenan once sarcastically said, "I can turn an unknown into a star, but even magic won't work with Red Rooster." Their problems went beyond just professional issues. Their relationship was further strained by personal clashes. Heenan openly accused Taylor of being dishonest, especially when they reunited later in WCW. Taylor, on the other hand, was more composed but admitted he always felt disrespected and never truly connected with his manager. From the start, the pairing of Red Rooster and Bobby Heenan was a mismatch, and neither of them ever really hid that fact. Number 1, Faruk and Akmed Johnson. When power clashes with ego. In the 90s, Akmed Johnson burst onto the WWE scene like a muscular storm, powerful and explosive. He was expected to become the new symbol of strength, with a chiseled physique and an intense fighting style. Unfortunately, while Akmed had the physical gifts, he seriously lacked teamwork skills and the ability to adapt to backstage dynamics. Ron Simmons, known as Faruk, was a no-nonsense figure. As the first African-American world champion, Simmons carried strict discipline and professional pride with him. This made his relationship with Akmed Johnson quickly hit a dead end. Their dislike for each other wasn't limited to behind the scenes, it spilled directly into the ring. According to reports, Faruk once ran into a match and delivered a kick to Ahmed's stomach so powerful it sidelined Johnson for an extended period. Akmed responded just as fiercely at WrestleMania 13 in a 3-on-3 street fight, taking every chance to retaliate. Their feud didn't cool down, even when Akmed briefly joined the Nation of Domination. For Faruk, it was just another reason to eliminate a bitter rival. For Johnson, it marked the final chapter. After prolonged conflicts, he became increasingly isolated, and when he eventually left the company, few seemed to regret it, especially Faruk, who described that moment simply as liberation. Thank you all for watching the video, 10 tag team partners who hated each other. These stories show that even teammates don't always share friendship behind the spotlight. If you found this video interesting, don't forget to hit like, share, and subscribe to Wrestling Sphere so you won't miss the hottest and most genuine wrestling stories. Do you know any other tag teams with conflicts that haven't been mentioned yet? Leave your comments down below. See you in the next video.